Going to Linda's friend Emily's place for dinner. Her son is my ex. I pretended not to know him and scrolled through videos. The first video that popped up, how to get your ex's attention. I watched it 8 times, lost interest, and swiped away decisively. The next one was Dr. Peterson. Can men still get an erection after drinking? That's when I realized my headphones weren't making sound. So I cranked up the volume. The next second, the man sitting on the other end of the sofa took off his headphones with a look of annoyance and said to me, "Yeah, they can after drinking." Stop watching. Me? Ex, you're connected to my headphones. No cooking at home tonight, so Linda and David decided to go out. I was in my room, pretending to write papers, but my ears were perked up, waiting for them to knock and call me. But the sound of the key turning in the front door echoed, and still, no one called me. I couldn't sit still. I didn't even put on slippers, just bolted out and stopped them. Linda, David, where are you going? Going out to eat. I hinted subtly. Well, don't you feel like something's missing? Linda looked around, a little confused, and asked, "Missing what?" I pointed at myself repeatedly, quickly saying, Me. You're going out to eat now and you weren't planning on taking me? Aren't you busy writing papers? Almost done. 3,000 yesterday, 4,000 today. I was lying. Actually, I wrote 3,000 words yesterday and deleted 4,000 words today. 2 days of work resulted in being 1,000 words in debt. Just another day of making Professor Johnson unable to lift his head in the academic world, hee. If Professor Johnson knew, he'd definitely want to tell me, "Go home, child. Please just go home." Maybe I should stop being so busy. Didn't you post on social media yesterday saying you were doing some kind of Thursday thing, and I already Venmo'd you $500? No, I want to go out too. David thought for a moment, then asked me again, "Are you sure? School starts tomorrow. Do you really dare go if you don't finish your paper? What's there to be afraid of about going out to eat? It's not like I'm going to eat at my professor's house." After I said that, Linda and David exchanged glances. Afraid they'd change their minds, I quickly put on my shoes, rushed out the door, and buckled myself into the car. They had no choice but to take me. Temporarily free from racking my brains to churn out academic garbage to pollute the environment. My mood was wonderful on the way. I hummed a little tune, shaking my head, listening to the two in the front chat. They went back and forth. I gathered that they were going to dinner at the house of one of Linda's close friends whom she hadn't seen in years. And David and her friend's husband were college classmates. Talk about a small world. Linda said her old friend had a son who looked like his mother, really handsome. At this point, she suddenly addressed me, "Sadie, your aunt's son, he just graduated with his doctorate this year, and he's in the same major as you. If you have any problems with your paper, you can ask him for advice." David interjected, TSK, sounds like the old man plans for his son to follow in his footsteps and become a teacher. Linda replied, not wasting any talent. "Yeah, he's really outstanding, if." As they spoke, they exchanged a look. Then they simultaneously looked up at the rearview mirror in the car at me, who had just finished shelling seeds, gathered them in my palm, tilted my head back, and tossed them all into my mouth. Chew. When I looked up, I noticed their 2 piercing gazes. Me? Linda was the first to look away. "Forget it, I don't think those two have any chemistry." Hearing that, I almost choked on my seeds. Were they trying to set me up with someone? I hadn't even met him, no thanks. So I quickly nodded, right, I'm not good enough for him. I'm just a pitiful old grad student who's a total drag on society, with a future that's completely abstract, and can't write papers. Linda turned around and looked at me intently. "I thought you knew why we weren't bringing you tonight." Me? I was so annoyed by them that I didn't want to talk. The destination was an upscale neighborhood. For the walk after getting out of the car, I stubbornly walked 10 yards behind them, putting a good distance between us. They didn't pay attention to me either, just walked ahead hand in hand, all lovey-dovey. By the time I realized it, they were already knocking on someone's door. That's when I hurried my steps to catch up. Soon, the door opened. The light was dim, but looking from a distance, I could vaguely make out that the person who opened the door was a tall, very fair and handsome guy. Wait, what? This top-tier handsome guy, and you're telling me he's a science and engineering PhD? Afraid that Linda and David would go inside and leave me, and also wanting to get a clearer look at the handsome guy's face. I quickened my pace to a light run. Finally, I caught up behind them and breathed a sigh of relief. I put one hand on my hip and lowered my head to wipe sweat. And who is this? The handsome guy's clear, pleasant voice rang out, obviously directed at me. That voice somehow sounded a little familiar. I looked up curiously. Just one glance, and I quickly buried my head back down. I cursed the sky for not being darker. After cursing the sky, I cursed myself even more for being so greedy and insisting on coming out to eat. He must have seen who I was. I didn't speak. David saw my reaction and introduced me for me. This is Uncle and Aunt Carol's daughter, Sarah Miller. You two go to the same university. She's in her second year of grad school. Come here, Sadie. This is Uncle Johnson's son, Robert Johnson. I wanted to say, David, you don't need to introduce us in such detail. After all, when we were closest, we knew everything about each other, even how many moles were on the other person's body and which one was the most sensitive. We were clearly a perfect match. But neither of us was easy to deal with. He was snarky when he spoke, and I was sassy. I don't remember which little thing it was, but we had a big fight. In the heat of the moment, I broke up with him directly. He agreed, slammed the door, and we went our separate ways. Now he was my ex-boyfriend. Oh, so it's Sarah Miller. He deliberately dragged out the O and ah sounds, making it incredibly sarcastic. Words to curse him were on the tip of my tongue, but I just glared at him, clenching my teeth and biting it back. You two know each other? Linda saw my strange expression and heard Robert Johnson speak like that. Her suspicious gaze darted back and forth between me and him. Do you really know each other? Have you met before? I still chose to stay silent. I also hoped Robert Johnson wouldn't be a jerk and reveal our relationship. Just as I was feeling uneasy, a loud, booming baritone voice sounded from inside, coming closer. What? Sarah Miller? What are you doing here? Didn't you say you were writing papers? Oh no. It was Professor Johnson's voice. Just 5 minutes ago. Professor Johnson messaged me, Sarah, a whole break has gone by. Do I have any chance in this lifetime of reading the first draft of your paper? Of course, I couldn't disappoint my kind and amiable advisor. So I quickly sent him a staged photo of my desk piled high with papers from when I was home. I replied confidently and dismissively, you see, I haven't gone anywhere today. I haven't even had dinner. I'm buried in writing. I look like someone who will submit the first draft this week and become an academic star next week. He didn't reply, just kept sending me chilling smiles. Now, seeing me standing at his doorstep, he wore that chilling smile directly on his face. The man in his 50s held a scallion, pointing it at me with a look of utter frustration, gritting his teeth. He looked like he wanted to curse me out, but my parents were there, and his wife, Aunt Carol, was calling him to hurry up and smash the ginger and garlic. He held back, held back, held back. He swallowed what he wanted to say and huffed into the house. Robert Johnson watched the scene from the side, then gave a sly grin and answered Linda's question from earlier. There was an edge to his smile. Sarah is my dad's favorite student. He talks about her all the time at home, so she left quite an impression. Me? I thought there was nothing more awkward in this world than your ex being your professor's son. It was truly so embarrassing I wanted to disappear. In that moment, I felt like my graduate life was circling the drain. Feeling embarrassed, I stuck close to Linda as soon as we entered, clinging to her. Robert Johnson poured us tea. I buried my head behind Linda. She thought I was shy, pulled my head out, and encouraged me to speak. Robert poured you tea. What do you say? I took a deep breath, forced a smile, and said to him, thank you. Linda gave me a stern look and cleared her throat. I immediately backed down and changed it to, thank you, Robert. Hearing that, Robert Johnson gave a strange little laugh and nodded. "You're welcome, Sadie." He deliberately emphasized the word Sadie, and after saying it, he gave me a long, hard look. I hadn't even had 2 sips of tea before Linda got restless and went to chat with her old friend. David and Professor Johnson, also not having seen each other in a while, got together to catch up. The large living room was suddenly left with just me and Robert Johnson. Our eyes accidentally met. I quickly looked away, pretending I hadn't seen him, looking indifferent, and took out my headphones to put them on. They say scrolling through videos makes time fly, and I really wanted this incredibly embarrassing night to pass quickly. So I lowered my head and started scrolling through videos. As I put on my headphones, I noticed Robert Johnson in my peripheral vision also taking out his headphones from his jacket pocket and putting them on, looking like he didn't want to be bothered. He sat down on the sofa farthest from me, a cold expression on his face. I breathed a sigh of relief. I was overthinking things. He wasn't really eager to talk to me either. I opened TikTok. The first video played automatically. The title and the captions was, "How to Get Your Ex's Attention." As soon as the video finished, I heard a chuckle from not far away. I looked up slightly and saw a smile playing on Robert Johnson's lips. He looked very happy and smug, like he'd successfully reeled in someone he liked. It had only been 3 months since we broke up, and he already had someone new? A sudden pain clutched at my heart, feeling a bit heavy. Scrolling through videos at someone else's house just wasn't as satisfying as doing it in my own bed. Perhaps because I wasn't comfortable, I had a little trouble understanding. I watched the first time and didn't quite get it. So I watched it again. Let's just watch it again and again and again. Finally, after watching it for the 8th time, I realized with a delay, why was I learning how to get my ex's attention? Right now, I wished I could be invisible in front of him. Not interested, swiped away decisively. Next up was a video from Dr. Peterson. Can men still get an erection after drinking? I stared at that line of text, my pupils dilated, and quickly paused it. Seriously, Peterson, why didn't you introduce yourself first? 0-second start, impossible to defend against, leaving me nowhere to hide. Before, when I didn't have headphones on, I accidentally opened TikTok in an elevator and a video like this played, causing me a huge social death moment. After that, I learned my lesson the hard way. Whenever I scrolled through videos, I made sure to wear headphones, never played audio out loud, and never let a second person hear. And today, even though I was wearing them, I felt uneasy. I subconsciously looked around and saw that the adults were all busy with their own conversations. No one was listening. My anxious heart quietly settled. I withdrew my gaze, but my peripheral vision couldn't help but glance at Robert Johnson not far away again. He was frowning. The smile he had earlier was awkwardly frozen. I didn't know if he saw or heard something that he found unbelievable. Never mind him. More than why Robert Johnson looked like he'd eaten something foul, I was more curious about whether men could really get it up after getting drunk. But this was someone else's house, and even though no one was watching me, I still felt a little awkward watching it out in the open. I didn't know why I was being so shy. I kept feeling like someone would suddenly appear behind me and stare at me. I didn't dare watch, but I was wearing headphones, so I could listen. I pulled down the notification bar to cover the video. Just listened, didn't watch. Listened for a few seconds. I only heard the adults chattering and chatting. Where was Dr. Peterson? I wanted to hear Dr. Peterson's voice. That's when I realized that my headphones seemed to have no sound at all. I hadn't heard sound from the very first video. Muted? I long pressed the volume button, cranking up the volume. Then I found that even at maximum volume, there was no sound. Were my headphones broken? No way. I just bought these headphones today. It was the first time I'd worn them. Over $100, just like that, broken. My heart shattered. I didn't want to accept the fact that my headphones were broken. So I paused and played the video, played and paused and played. No result. I tried turning the volume down and up and down, then down and up again. Still nothing. Ugh. I turned off the Bluetooth, preparing to reconnect. Robert Johnson, who was beside me, suddenly spoke. Sarah Miller, are you deaf? Me? Yeah, they can after drinking. Stop watching. Me? He had 20/20th's vision, he couldn't possibly see what I was watching on my small phone. Could he? Could it be that he heard it? No way. I hadn't even heard anything while wearing headphones, let alone leaking sound that reached him. We were 2 sofa lengths apart. Just as I was feeling confused, Robert Johnson walked over, took off his headphones, and said with a look of annoyance, "Know why there's no sound? X, your F ****ing connected to my headphones." Me? Earlier I said there was nothing more awkward than my ex being my professor's son. Now there was. If you looked closely, Robert Johnson's floor was spotless, perfectly clean. That's because my humiliation had completely disappeared. Whatever little game you're trying to play, cut it out. I don't like you anymore, so stop messing around and acting weird. Get a grip. Robert Johnson held my headphones in his hand, warning me through gritted teeth. I got angry right away. Dude, you're not that unforgettable. And also, why don't you reflect on yourself? You broke up so long ago, and you still haven't replaced your old headphones. The headphones he was using now were the birthday gift I gave him. When we were together, we often used each other's, which is why we were connected to each other's phones. Reflect on what? It's my freedom whether I replace them or not. I don't need to reflect. As for you, we agreed to never see each other again, never appear in front of each other. And now, you're the one who came to my house. Oh, it's my freedom where I go. If you find me annoying, why don't you dig a hole and bury yourself in it? That way I won't appear in front of you. Yeah, you're so free you came to my house. So domineering, why don't you just say my whole family belongs to you? Phi. Annie, you're mine. Go, write a big paper and put me as the first author. Initially, I felt a bit awkward and shy facing him, but now that I was arguing back, the memory of our past fights came rushing back. Seeing him stumped, I suddenly felt incredibly satisfied. I stood up immediately, rolled up my sleeves, and prepared to continue arguing with him properly. But Robert Johnson suddenly stopped talking. I frowned and looked at him. It wasn't cold today, so why was his face flushed? I scoffed, "Oh, you got heated just from me saying a couple things? Super sensitive, huh?" Robert Johnson didn't speak, just pursed his lips and sulked. "What are you 2 kids standing there for? Dinner's ready." Aunt Carol's voice came from the kitchen. During dinner, I was immersed in the joy of winning the argument. Professor Johnson saw me eating and cracking up, pushed up his glasses, and squinted. "Sarah Miller, how's your experiment progress? Have you organized all that experimental data? Have you read the papers I sent you? You can send me the paper outline first, too." The smile on my face instantly vanished. Did he really have to bring up such a heavy topic during dinner? Robert Johnson, sitting next to me, snickered, looking a bit gleeful. Professor Johnson didn't spare him either. Is that funny? All right then, she's your responsibility. Sarah Miller, you can give your first draft to Robert Johnson to look at. Me? Robert Johnson. Linda and David didn't speak, just ate and watched the show. Aunt Carol pinched Professor Johnson's arm. "We're eating. This is a home, not a meeting room. If you keep talking, you can eat at the dog's table later." I wanted to laugh, but I held it in. After scolding Professor Johnson, Aunt Carol turned to me with a kind smile and said, "Don't mind him, Sarah. Take your time with the paper. If you don't know something, you can ask Robert. You're the same age, you can talk things through better." Robert Johnson, who had been silent for a while, spoke. "No thanks. I don't get along with people who can't write papers." To liven up the atmosphere, Aunt Carol started sharing embarrassing stories about Robert Johnson when he was little, like raiding a hen house and getting chased and packed by the chickens. I listened with relish, just focusing on snickering to myself. While reaching for food, I wasn't paying attention and reached my chopsticks towards the spicy chicken dish. Suddenly, the 4 adults stopped laughing and talking. All their gazes fell on me. To be precise, on me and Robert Johnson. Following Linda's gaze, I looked down at my bowl. The spicy chicken I had just picked up had somehow ended up in Robert Johnson's bowl. I let out a silent, piercing shriek in my mind. When I was with Robert Johnson before, if there was anything I didn't like to eat, as long as he was beside me, I'd make him finish it. I can't eat spicy food, and I didn't hesitate for a second just now. I didn't even realize it myself. That piece of meat covered in red chilies had already been transferred to Robert Johnson's bowl by me. Muscle memory, terrifying. Robert Johnson quickly shoveled the meat into his mouth, smiling slyly at me, and said, "Don't worry, just because you gave me food doesn't mean I'll help you with your paper." I hoped that dish was spicy enough to kill him. Not daring to get distracted again, my attention returned to eating. That's when I noticed the plate of shrimp in front of me was already half empty. I looked and saw Robert Johnson had an empty bowl, peeling shrimp one by one and putting them in it. I'm too lazy to peel them. I hadn't really wanted to eat them when I saw them earlier. But now that I saw them peeled, I secretly swallowed. I planned to buy some and make them at home tomorrow. Just then, Aunt Carol said to him, "You're allergic to seafood. Why are you peeling so many shrimp?" Robert Johnson grinned, "They're for you." Aunt C.A. Roll gave him a look. "Guess who you inherited your allergy from?" Then she turned to me and said, "Sadie, eat these. It'll save you from getting your hands dirty peeling them yourself." I carefully glanced at Robert Johnson. He pushed the bowl towards me. "Go ahead, eat. Eating more helps you grow a brain." Fine, for the sake of the shrimp, I'll let this grudge slide for now. After dinner, the adults were chattering away. Robert Johnson took a call and said he had something urgent to do, so he left. After he left, the conversation somehow turned to him. Linda asked curiously, "Going out this late, is he going to see a girlfriend?" "No, where would he get a girlfriend? Although he's not young anymore, he doesn't plan on dating, and we're not forcing him." Aunt Carol took a sip of tea, lowered her voice, and spoke as if sharing an unspeakable secret. "A while ago, it seems he broke up with someone. He wasn't eating or drinking at home. He hid in his room crying every day. He killed who knows how many flowers in my yard, muttering the whole time that he never wanted to see her again and didn't want to date anymore. He's been busy with work lately, so he's a bit better. We didn't dare ask too much, just let him be." Me? Robert Johnson, crying? Strange. In all the years we were together, I'd never seen him cry. So he was secretly hiding and crying? I buried my head in my coat, feeling a little guilty. I broke up with him without giving any reason. He had agreed so resolutely back then, hadn't he? Why was he secretly hiding and crying? Lying on the hard dorm mattress at night, I lay awake, not daring to close my eyes. Because every time I closed my eyes, I saw Robert Johnson's suggestive face and unspeakable scenes. I licked my lips, silently cursing myself for being pathetic. I was the one who initiated the breakup, and I couldn't bring myself to ask for him back. But I craved his body. Since I couldn't sleep anyway, I just got up and started writing my paper. Professor Johnson looked at my first draft and sent it back with a bunch of comments. I had no idea how to revise, so I planned to search for more related papers for reference. I opened JSTOR, and as I was typing in the search bar, I typed Robert Johnson's name out of habit. When I realized what I'd done, I quickly slapped my forehead, trying to clear my head. The next second, I clicked search. I'd been so fixated on craving Robert Johnson's body, I hadn't even looked at the papers he'd written. I was a little curious about how a PhD student churns out papers. I clicked on his dissertation. Read half of it. Couldn't laugh anymore. Damn, it was incredibly good. He could be my advisor. If I had known he could write this well, and I was like a desperate illiterate, I would have kissed him instead of arguing back when he was being snarky, instead of breaking up with him. Now everyone's unhappy. Regret. I bit the bullet and messaged him, "Asleep?" Robert Johnson replied instantly, asking me if I'm asleep at 4:30 a.m. "Should I make you my insurance beneficiary? That's not a bad idea. Couldn't sleep again playing on your smartphone? No. Can you help me look at my paper? Oh, thinking of me now, huh? What were you doing earlier? Didn't think of asking me to look at your paper when you were cursing me out? Did you think of this day when you broke up with me? Let me tell you, I've always had principles. I won't go soft and help my ex-girlfriend with her paper. I rolled my eyes, preparing to reply, cheapskate. Before I could send it, another message came from him. What are you waiting for? Send it over. Offer expires soon. My time is very valuable. I quickly sent the paper over to him. In that moment, I found his snarkiness as appealing as sweet talk. After a pause, he asked, if I help you revise it, you have to give me something in return, right? Then I'll reluctantly check if your abs are up to par. Al. Ways taking advantage. That's so you. Okay, how about a full body check? Is that enough? 11 the next day, Robert Johnson and I met at the cafe near campus to work on the paper. When I arrived after class, he told me he had a last-minute meeting and asked me to wait a bit. I was about to find a seat when a voice behind me called my name. Sarah Miller? I turned around and thought the person looked familiar. I frowned, searching my mind for a name to match that face. It's Jason Davis. The person spoke. Oh, the annoying ex is here. 3 months ago, he suddenly messaged me saying he was back in the country. I didn't reply. He started calling me every day. I didn't answer any, and I blocked him. You don't even recognize me? I tried contacting you so many times, but I couldn't reach you. I had a secret crush on him for 3 years in high school. I saw the back of his head most often. After college entrance exams, I confessed, he agreed, and even changed his university application to the same school as me. I was very happy during the time we were together, thinking my secret crush had come true. But 2 months later, he told me he was going to study abroad, that applying to the same school was just to mess with me, and being with me during the summer was just for fun. He told me not to take it to heart. He said that ordinary college students like me and people like him who were going to study abroad and have a bright future were destined to have no future together. I was so angry. Did going abroad really make you think you were a genius? That guy's college entrance exam score was dozens of points below the minimum admission score for my undergraduate university. I must have been blind to fall for a guy whose relationships were like criminal records. Thinking back on the past, I didn't give him a pleasant look. I said flatly, what do you want? Of course, Sarah. You've become much prettier. Sit down, let's catch up. Jason duh. This was thin, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, and exuded a shrewd aura. Spit it out. I was getting increasingly impatient. In that moment, I realized that exes aren't all the same. I'm getting married. As my first love, can you come? Me? Actually, I really liked you back then, but I didn't get into the same school as you, and I felt embarrassed. And I was young and didn't know better, I only applied to one school. I was forced to tell my family I wanted to study abroad. I didn't break up with you on purpose. Oh, how impressive of you. You're blaming your own arrogance, your insistence on showing off and messing up your college application, which led to you not getting into university, on me? Is that right? Jason Davis pushed up his glasses. I didn't mean to blame you. I know it was my problem. It's just that after all these years, I always think of you. I've met many girls abroad, but they don't come close to the place you hold in my heart. I often miss you. I rolled my eyes hard. Can you leave now? Your white moonlight feels nauseous just looking at you. Jason Davis didn't seem annoyed. I resisted the urge to splash coffee on him and stood up to leave. He continued talking to himself. You and Robert Johnson, you two are really something. Both of you can talk. You've met my boyfriend? I frowned. All right, I won't say anymore. Go find him quickly, he's probably burning with jealousy. What? Your boyfriend, isn't he? He's right there. He pointed to the spot behind me. I turned around. Robert Johnson was standing there, staring intently at us, his eyes filled with complex emotions. Jason Davis continued, why don't you go comfort him? I'll have to sleep with one eye open tonight. That look in his eyes, he might try to assassinate me tonight. He wouldn't bother assassinating a weakling like you. I'm crazy, I can just kill you openly right now. I reached into my bag, muttering as I fumbled around, where's my knife? Faye? The look in his eyes grew increasingly strange. Finally, he couldn't sit still and beat a hasty retreat from the cafe. 12 after Jason Davis left. I walked over to Robert Johnson. He was sitting there, lips tightly pressed together, not saying a word. Like a well-behaved dog. I was a little unaccustomed to it. I walked up to him and snatched the bouquet of flowers from his hand. Oh, bought flowers? For me? Robert Johnson didn't say anything. As I admired the flowers, I thought about what Jason Davis had just said. He seemed to have met Robert Johnson. I straightened my face and asked Robert Johnson, "You've met that crazy guy from earlier?" Robert Johnson nodded. He said that 3 months ago, Jason Davis suddenly found him. Jason Davis showed him a large stack of photos of me and him, as well as the love letters I had written him. He told Robert Johnson that he was my first love, my white moonlight. And Robert Johnson was just a substitute, only a third as good as him. I was utterly shocked when I heard this and couldn't help but interrupt Robert Johnson. "You actually believed him?" Robert Johnson nodded. "We do look a bit alike. I can't deny it." I found it hard to connect Jason Davis's awkward-looking face with Robert Johnson's perfectly sculpted face. "He came looking for you. Why didn't you tell me?" "I was going to tell you, but then I saw how you always acted guilty and hid to take his calls. I didn't dare bring it up. I felt terrible." Confused look, Jason Davis had indeed been calling me every day during that time, and I hung up every single call. But this relationship history, which felt like a criminal record, I was too embarrassed to tell Robert Johnson about. His mouth is so snarky, who knows how many times he'd use it to be sarcastic towards me if he knew. Keeping it bottled up, I felt terrible. So every time, I would hide away feeling incredibly guilty. Hiding in a deserted corner and complaining about tea. Hat jerked Jason Davis to my only friend, Emily. When we used to argue, my threats to break up were just in the heat of the moment. He never agreed. But that one time, when I said I wanted to break up, he agreed immediately. I thought he was fed up with me. It turned out Jason Davis was stirring up trouble between us. After finding out the truth, I was so angry I stomped my feet. I rolled up my sleeves, wanting to slap Jason Davis twice. Robert Johnson grabbed me. "You don't need to do it. I've already submitted the report on his company's tax evasion. Let's go watch the court hearing together." I looked at Robert Johnson, somewhat shocked. He lowered his head and rubbed his nose, looking a little embarrassed. "No other meaning. I just simply wanted to get him locked up, and then I'd take his place." 13 You're saying you're back together with the PhD guy? Uh-huh. You're saying you two were making out by the pond in your neighborhood and your parents caught you? And then what? Emily immediately made a voice call, full battery, using Wi-Fi. Spill the details. Robert Johnson and I didn't need to hide anything. We were direct with our parents. The next day, they arranged to have dinner with Robert Johnson's parents. Both mothers were very happy, holding hands, smiles never leaving their faces. My dad wasn't very happy. He felt that when we first met at Robert Johnson's house, Robert Johnson's attitude towards me wasn't great. But when my dad saw me about to curse out Robert Johnson, and he dropped to his knees with a thud, my dad wiped a cold sweat and quickly said, "Sweetie, take it easy. Don't boss Robert around like a dog." Professor Johnson wasn't happy either. Because from now on, if he wanted to scold me, he'd have to think twice. 14 Despite all the bumps in the road, I finally graduated with my master's degree. The day of graduation, the families gathered for dinner and set the date for my wedding with Robert Joe. Son. The defense and graduation ceremony had been busy for several days. I should have been exhausted, but I couldn't fall asleep. I rolled over to Robert Johnson, who was pretending to sleep. Seeing me roll over, he immediately pulled me into his arms. His hand instinctively reached under the hem of my clothes and stroked my waist, then suddenly stopped. "No, you've been too tired lately. Tonight, let's just sleep." But I didn't listen. I just kept unbuttoning his shirt. My hands were already tracing his abs. He reacted quickly and grabbed my hands. His voice was already hoarse. Are you sure you want to do this tonight? I smiled and leaned in, kissing him. Come on, they say it's good luck. End of text.